That $10,000 just brought me an additional $7,000 in equity. That's a 70% return on my investment.
Wow. So welcome to another episode of the Context to Contracts podcast. I am Bryan Lovell. This right here is Mr. John Jones.
This right here.
And hey, listen, we're gonna wing something here. We're gonna dig in a little bit to what is currently going on in the mortgage interest rate world, and from our perspective, how we think loan originators should be reacting to it. What are some things that they could be doing with it? So to kind of bring you where we're at, we are recording this today. Is Friday, February 26th.
Man, the month's already over. Crazy, right?
Dude, crazy. But I mean,
and everybody wants it over. We want to move into March.
Crazy volume, though. March is going to look even more ridiculous. I think where originators are probably a little bit fearful right now is we've had a really good run for quite a long time. And I will tell you that from our perspective, especially here in the first quarter so far of 2021, we're seeing much higher volume than we normally would see. And to sort of quantify that, normally we see a pretty decent decline from like November, December to January, February, right? Mm-hmm. We didn't really see that this year in January or February. Thankfully, we feel we're definitely blessed. And March looks even bigger, and we're about to go into the
spring buying season, right?
Spring buying season.
Yeah.
But the last 2 weeks has really been a bloodbath for interest rates. And I think, as loan originators, we've gotten pretty used to selling rates in the low twos on a 30-year fixed. I'm sorry, low twos in the twos for a 30-year fixed, not necessarily low twos. And
God, I wish I had that rate when I was selling loans. I mean, are you kidding me?
But it's like free money.
It's still free money. I mean, the point is, we're going to circle back to that. I mean, everybody got excited the last week and a half where rates have jumped up to, but whether or not they're going to stay at this level, they're still at historical low levels.
Yeah, and when you say excited, by the way, you don't mean like excited like, yes!
Yeah, excited they're like I can't sell it.
Yeah, I can't sell it.
Where literally this same time last year, they'd have begged for that rate.
They would have. And this same time last year, I brought real quick, in February and March of last year, we were selling 3 5/8, 3 3/4, and we're lower than that today.
Yeah.
And by the way, we were doing a ton of volume on the refinance side as well at those interest rates. So what John and I figure we do is we just talk a little bit about, what do you do now, right? If you're a loan originator out there and because we don't know when this is going to end, like we may not have seen the ceiling yet on interest rates continuing to rise. I do think we'll see them come back down at some point.
Get another shot, yep.
But we don't know when that is. Nobody has a crystal ball. I mean, listen, I love Barry Habib to death. I think he's done amazing things for our industry. He even said, hey, guys, I called it wrong this week, right? I mean, admittedly so. I'm not throwing him under the bus. He said it himself. So none of us have a crystal ball. Right. So how do we react? I think, John, the first thing I think we should talk about is where's our mindset, right? Where's our mindset in regards to how we should react? And I think to your point, everybody is getting a little bit excited, or a lot of us are getting really, really excited. Where should our mindset truly be?
I mean, absolutely. That rates are still great. Great opportunity, whether you're buying or looking to refinance. And look, if you were one of those folks out there that maybe over the past year, you just for whatever reason haven't gotten around to doing it, it still might be a great opportunity. Because if you remember, it was about April last year where we circled into starting to knock out some refis for some folks.
Yep.
And there's still, we know there's a lot of people out there that for whatever reason just didn't get around to pulling the trigger. Mm-hmm. And now it's more important that you pay attention to where rates are heading and make a decision whether it still makes sense. In many cases, it still might. But get on alert, and if we do see that dip like we alluded to, that this time around you pull the trigger and take advantage.
Well, I think from a consumer perspective, you got to pull the trigger right now. And the reason I say that is we don't know that they could take a dip down. I mean, listen, Nobody saw COVID coming, right? And look at the effect that it's had on the economy as well as interest rates. Listen, I assure you of this, there will be another COVID. It will just be called something different, and we don't know what it is or what it's going to be or when it's going to be. So, I would say right now, if you're a consumer and you like that price,
if it's saving you money and it makes sense to lock it in and get it done.
You need to lock it in. I think, from the mindset of a loan originator, you got to look again at what we were selling earlier in the year, even all the way into the summer. I think in the summer months, we were still selling 3 3/8, 3 1/4. It's probably about where we're at right now, probably maybe just a tad bit lower. You were doing a ton of business then, right? And I think that you got a number of people right now who probably still need cash out refinance opportunities.
Never going to stop.
That's never, ever going to go away, especially in the economic climate that we're in right now. And then there's obviously, still rate and term opportunities available. I think that you got to pick up your bootstraps, right? And you got to get out of your head a little bit on what's going on, and there's panic. Listen, and I know it's hard, right? I know it's hard because you're having conversations with borrowers right now that you started a week ago that now they're like, whoa, are you some kind of crook?
Right. It's bait and
did
switch.
You just bait and switch me?
Right.
Listen, I know that they're difficult conversations, right? But we also have tools and resources available to us to make sure that you're educating your clients as to why this is going on and what their next step should be, and that's only a short period of time, right? Meaning that the clients that you're talking to today who are like, hey, time out, you bait and switched me, they're going to close. You're going to lock them. They're going to close. But the clients that you're talking about today, the new ones, they don't remember the conversation. You never had the conversation with them about their rates being a little bit lower.
Right. Consumers only care about interest rates when they're either looking to buy a home or they're thinking about refinancing a home. Other than that, they don't know if they're 6%, 5 or 2.
Yep. So right now, the difficult conversations you're having aren't going to last very long.
Right.
They're only going to last for another couple of days or a week or whatever.
And you alluded to it. It's a mindset. As for us in the industry, we know that maybe a look back 7 or 8 days ago, the rates were a little bit lower, right? And it's okay. Rates are phenomenal, right? And now a consumer comes to us today. We've seen what rates have done in the last 6 to 8 days. Well, we're a little bit down, but reality is it's still a great rate.
Yeah, still a great rate.
We go out and sell that, and the consumer gets a loan and closes on a home.
Yeah, still a great rate. So, going back to that mindset piece, let's kind of talk a little bit about what loan originators should be doing with where the market is at right now. And obviously, we've already kind of talked about you've got to educate your consumer about what's going on right now. Hey, by the way, too, if you've got buyers or folks refinancing that are on the fence right now, like a simple
give them a nudge.
like just showing them simply the mortgage-backed security charts,
auto-motivate
them pretty quickly, to get that lock-in. But I think that there's two things that have to happen in our business. We have the purchase side of the business and we have the refinance side of the business. The mistake you don't want to make as an originator right now in this market is being like, rates have gone up. I can't do any more refis. So I'm just not even going to work that part of it. That would be a foolish mistake, right? And
Absolutely.
I think that's for a few reasons. The first reason is people, to John's point, are still going to refi in this market at where rates are at right now. The second one is, even if they're not ready to pull the trigger, if you've already started the process, if there's a point that they would be willing to pull the trigger, you're going to be able to do it quickly.
Right.
Right. So let's say you get one really good rate sheet.
That's the day.
You want to have all those people lined up.
You have to have them
lined
locked
up
and loaded this time around. So, again, back to rates going down, right? There's no sense of urgency, right? This is free money. It's only getting better. I'll talk to you again, Bryan, next week. Thanks for telling me what I'm going to save. I'm looking to save a little bit more. We hear that every week, right? I've got 18 people that are hoping to save just a little bit more. Well, if you're one of those 18 people, now you need to, put yourself on notice, put your loan office on notice, and next time those rates take that little bit of dip, lock it in. Let's not get greedy and try to wait for the lowest of the low.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
We want to all buy stock and invest in stuff, right? Nobody buys at the bottom.
Yeah, no.
Get a decent deal.
No.
Close on it.
No, and I think that goes a little bit to, a lot of people are asking the question, why is the market performing like the market is performing? Today I'm looking at the bond market take a dive. I'm looking at my stock portfolio going, where's all the money going? Yeah. Right? The money being, where are the investors putting their money in? It looks like the only thing I can think of is commodities that's left, right? But normally we see, if money's going into the stock market, it means it's leaving bonds and vice versa.
Right.
And right now, neither one of them is performing particularly great, kind of at the same time. But, I think part of what you're seeing right now with the interest rates going up is there's a feeling that the economy is improving. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
So, and part of that is because the economy that we are coming out of is COVID driven, right?
Yeah.
And so now people are starting to get vaccinated. The number of people testing positive is decreasing.
Yep.
I think part of it too is we've been doing this for a year, and some people are just like, COVID, what's COVID? They don't care about it anymore, right?
COVID's over.
COVID's over. And so the perception or the feeling that the economy is improving is what's causing this right now. So, good economy typically is bad for mortgage interest rates. I shouldn't say bad, but it causes an increasing rate market. And when the economy's not so great, that's typically when we see interest rates come down. But, John, what's ahead of us in terms of the economy?
Well, I mean, I think that if we look back just before COVID, a lot of experts were predicting heading into a recession. Mm-hmm. COVID drove us into somewhat of a sideways spin here a little bit, and now things have kind of shifted, and it looks like 2021 is going to be another great year, and home prices appreciating, inflation's coming on board. But again, I've read and seen a few things post that 2022 now is the year that people are targeting to see a little bit of a pullback.
Okay.
And I think a lot of that depends on how everything's going to shake out, both commercial side, residential side with forbearance. And, we really don't know. We've never gone through this, as a country or as a world, how this all plays out, financially,
Yeah, and I think that debt is going to play a huge role too, right?
Yeah.
And so, this isn't about politics, but obviously there's been a number of stimulus packages, and there's one that's being worked up right now. Yep. That debt is going to compound, and normally what happens is high debt equals lower mortgage interest rates too. So that could be what fuels either the stop to this increase or the reversal of it. Interest rates back down. But, you talked about appreciation. I was in a real estate office yesterday, and I got a really great opportunity to speak to or to teach a number of real estate agents. And one of the questions I asked is like, okay, so how many of you are working with buyers? Everybody's working with buyers. And obviously we know that because pre-approvals are through the roof on buyers, right? And I said, hey, who here in the last 3 weeks has made an offer
over
on a property that was either at ask or less?
Crickets.
Okay, let me ask the question a different way. How many of you have made an offer over ask?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
100% of the people in the room are not even putting in offers on properties at ask. They're all over ask.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, really, it'll be interesting to know. I've lived through this before in this real estate mortgage market. Many of us have. We've gone through the 04, 5, 6 into 2007, and a lot of it is it's different, but a lot of it's similar. I mean, look, I read an article yesterday where this past year in real estate here in the Tampa Bay market, this was our best year since the year 2005.
Wow.
So, if that's any
that was
indication,
the beginning of the end.
Well, 2005 was rocking. 2006, ironically, went even higher. And the prediction here is in 2021, we're going to shoot up in value. I mean, I'm sure you're seeing here, like we're looking at 5, 6, 8%.
I mean, I think we're going to see 6, 8%, appreciation. But I think that there are some safeguards in place today that weren't in place back then that are going to prevent
100%.
total implosion.
Yeah,
I mean, lending is definitely tighter. I mean, just appraiser independence is a huge factor here. Can you imagine what kind of appreciation we'd be seeing right now if there
wasn't $1 billion on everything?
If there wasn't appraiser independence? It would be crazy, right?
Yeah.
Because we would be twisting the arms of these appraisers. Hey, listen, my borrower is going to offer $25,000 over ask, and I need it to come in.
No, we wouldn't.
Could you? Come on.
Others did that, Brian.
You never did.
No.
Listen, I grew up in the world of appraiser independence.
So back to your point on that, there's Frank Dodd and a whole new set of rules in place, and getting a loan and qualifying for a mortgage today is entirely different.
Yes.
we do our due diligence. All lenders are required to do due diligence there to protect not only themselves, the consumer who is buying, and the consumer as whole. That we don't want to see what happened in the industry back 10, 12 years ago to reappear in it. And you're absolutely right. People that are in homes now qualify. Therefore, I don't see anything on the downturn to that happening. So I feel good about that.
Yeah, me too. So let's go back to talking about LOs and what they should be doing, in the market. So we just said, hey, listen, you need to get it lined up. Do not quit working the refinances. Most of them are going to lock. The ones that don't, you need to have ready for when you get that good rate sheet. But we can't stop talking about buyers either, right? I've always lived by the rule that real estate agents are always going to sell homes, whether rates are 4% or 14%. Maybe I should change that to whether rates are 2% or 12%. Real estate agents are always going to sell homes. And I think that, one of the things that I took away from this class I did yesterday was the agents are looking for us to add value to them. And we've gotten so busy, like we haven't done it on purpose, but we've gotten so busy that, we're not paying the right attention in the right places. And then there's also the part of it where we were like, hey, the easy money is in refinances. I'll come back to this, realtor partner later. And I think, again, we didn't do it on purpose, but that's, in a lot of cases with originators in this country, that is likely what happened. And
100%.
I think it's more important than ever that you've got to have a plan for how are you going to get in front of these agents. And you've got to come from the place where you're adding some sort of value, right? Like, hey, I've got great rates, I've got great products, and I got, fast closings. Everybody does. That didn't make you special. So what are you doing to get in front of agents and have a separate or a different conversation, I should say, than everybody else? I was on a webinar yesterday too. It was like a great day for education for me. But we were talking as a mastermind of loan originators, and we were talking about what are some things that you could be doing. And one of those was, there's a great deal, and I know you said today too that the forbearance has been extended, but in the next couple of months, there's going to be a lot of homeowners who are currently in forbearance. They're going to be rolling out of that forbearance.
Yep.
Right. And although it's not going to lead probably to short sales or foreclosures, they are going to have a lot of questions about what do I do now after I've been in forbearance for a year. And I do think it's going to create an inventory opportunity for us, because some of those folks will choose to, hey, you know what? My financial situation has changed since I bought this home. So let me go ahead and sell this. And because they have equity, they're going to be able to go buy another home, right?
Yep,
because as it stands today, if they are in forbearance, but they sell the home and pay it off the missed payments that were in forbearance, they can buy another one the next day.
Same day.
Right? Same day, right? Whereas on a refinance, they have to have gotten out of forbearance and made 3 on-time payments to do a refinance.
Yeah, so back to that. So on the refinance, yep, absolutely. If they're not able to, the only way to refinance immediately getting out of forbearance is to bring it current. So they would have to take money from a savings account, bring that loan current. They were eligible right away to refinance. Most people don't have that ability. If they did, they probably would have been paying a mortgage, but many have to wait the 3 months of on-time payments. And the important thing is we've run across too is make sure you're working with your existing lender to get the agreement to end the forbearance. So it's not enough just to say, I'm going to go ahead and start making payments on March 1, and then April 1, and then May 1, and then I'm eligible to go ahead and refinance with you, Brian. If I don't have a written agreement with my current lender, that doesn't matter, because technically you're still in forbearance with the existing lender. Even though you're making payments, you're in the forbearance until you have the agreement to exit it and how that all spells out. Yeah,
no, you're absolutely right. So John, do you have any other ideas? Like what could a loan originator be doing right now to continue to, because here's the thing.
Well, I mean,
this is the fear, right? We all have been very, very successful in the last 12 to 18 months. And the fear is it's over.
It's going to go over like that.
Yeah,
and then we're all going to run to the street and try to make nicey with realtors and builders.
And it
so
doesn't have
forth.
to be that way.
Right. And hopefully if you're a loan officer, that's part of your plan, and you have a plan that every year you do business planning, I would hope. And part of your plan is how you call on your realtors, right? Your top 10, your top 20 referral partners, and you're reaching out intentionally every week, staying in communication, offering, all sorts of different value and being available. If you didn't, like you said, many of us got lured into some of the low rates in the refi opportunity. You need to make sure in your plan, right? You're famous for saying, right, we're working in our business or on our business. You need to always be working on your business and find and carve out that hour or two a week, right, to reach out to your referral partners, right? They're always going to be there for you. I've done this 20 plus years, right? And it's all built around real estate referrals. I mean, that is their primary driver of business, and the refinance, we call it the gravy part. So make sure that's part of your weekly plan and you're following that. I mean,
I think you have to be looking at it in terms of what value am I going to bring to those agents. And so
you mentioned a great tool that we have through MBS Highway and through the bid over ask. You were talking about presenting that to that group yesterday of agents, and I thought that was phenomenal. I mean, tell us a little bit about that.
So, well, the class was all about, hey, this is what's currently going on. This is where we're going, blah, blah, blah. It's all data driven. But at the end, I wanted to share, hey, here's I understand what your challenges are.
Sure.
Right. So as a real estate agent right now, my challenges are inventory is really low. I'm working with tons of buyers. I'm showing more homes than I want to. We're getting outbid. Right. And so I think in that scenario alone, two things happen. One, they all said we're all making offers over ask.
Yeah.
And two, buyers are starting to get fatigued. Like, I'm tired of looking at homes every weekend. I'm tired of being in a multiple offer situation. I'm tired of not getting and so they're like, you know what?
Let's just do it. Pull the trigger.
Let me just pull out of this. I'll wait for this to calm down a little bit and I'll go do it later. So I shared two tools with them available through MBS Highway. The first one was the bid over ask. And by the way, it takes like 30 seconds, by the way.
30, 40. If you're not tech savvy, it's 45 seconds.
It's 45 seconds.
It's an amazing tool.
Yeah. And it's, you literally, you put in, this is what
this is the list price.
This is the list price. This is what we're going to go over ask. It uses basic appreciation to determine how long will it take for me to make my money back. So let's just use even numbers. $100,000 sales price. We're going to ask $10,000 over, so we're going to make a $110,000 offer. When will I get that additional $10,000 back through equity? It breaks it down by how many months, right? So if you're an agent that's working with a buyer that's trying to convince them that this is the right thing to do, and by the way, it's specific to demographics, so you can break it
MSAs,
down by like zip code.
Correct.
Right? Because we all know different areas of the country and even different areas of Pinellas County, Hillsborough County, Florida, whatever.
It's based on assumed appreciation for that local market.
And based on historical data as well, right? The second one was the cost of waiting analysis, right? And so the cost of waiting analysis, what it does is it shows the borrower the financial loss of waiting to buy a home. So let's say there's a couple of factors. One, interest rates could go up, right? The other factor is the home is going to appreciate in the time that you waited to buy. So what it does is it shows you, this is what my mortgage payment would be today based on what my investment is going to be. Because remember, if the home appreciates, now your down payment also increased. So it breaks it down for you at 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, the intervals, you can change them. But it shows, hey, this is how much my mortgage payment would go up based on that. This is how much more cash to close I would have to put down because of the home's appreciation. Excuse me. And then the last one is, how much did you lose in appreciation? So like if the home were to appreciate in 2 years' time, it had appreciated an additional $25,000, you lost that, right? And, John, you're an investor.
Yes, I am.
You own a number of properties. And one of the greatest ways to create wealth in our country
other people's money
is through home ownership, right? And so the longer you wait to be a homeowner, the less you're delaying
Right.
that appreciation that leads to wealth.
It's crazy. So, somebody told me this way back, years ago, other people's money, so it's a philosophy of mine when I started buying 25 years ago. Give you some quick numbers, which, this is probably going to apply, maybe not the price that I'll use for the round numbers,
Okay.
but appreciation. Let's just throw this out there. So I'm looking to buy a piece of property for $100,000. Now, remember, earlier we said and speculate property values go up maybe 6 or 7%.
Yep.
So let's say they jump a 7% value this year in 2021. That property's gone from 100 to 107,000. Let's say Bryan asked me to put 10,000 of my money down. He took 10,000 from me to buy this $100,000 property. That 10,000 just brought me an additional 7,000 in equity. That's a 70% return on my investment.
Wow.
So people need to start thinking about real estate as a long-term investment, a buy-hold strategy. And the other people money part of it is you're financing the rest of it at super low rates, historic low rates, and you've leveraged that 10,000 is now worth 70% more in a year, and that's going to escalate from that.
And boom, John just gave you another way to add value to your to the consumers, the borrowers you're working with, as well as your real estate agents. You know, and here's the thing I would say. What we wanted to communicate to LOs is like, this isn't the end of the world, right? Get over your mindset of where rates are at. And two, get out there and do something, right? And it's been, I'm not gonna say I don't want to say it's been easy because it has been hard, right? Being this
Very
busy
difficult,
and having the volume, it's been hard. But the deals have been coming in at such a hot pace. A lot of us haven't had to worry about where's our next deal coming from, right? And that's what everybody's fearful of. And here's my thing is, if you're not constantly working on your business, to your point, at some point it kind of dwindles away, And I give the example of, I haven't originated in a number of years, but when I did, I was never like a top producer. I was never slinging it. But what I realized is when I got out of production and took a leadership role, eventually I quit getting referrals. Like at first I was still getting referrals and I was still doing some loans, even though that wasn't really my job. And it continued for a little while, but eventually, because I wasn't communicating, I wasn't adding value, I wasn't trying to meet new people, eventually all of those agents and referral partners that I had that had sent me business for years, they probably started talking to the guy who was visible, the guy who was trying to add value, the person who was trying to get in front of them. So don't be naive in thinking that although you just had a banner year, if you weren't doing those things, that all of those people are going to be back in your bandwagon, right? And one of the things I would encourage you to do right now is, you need to go look through your closed loans for the past 12 or 18 months, and hopefully you've kept good data and you know who the buyer's agents was or who the referral agents were on the deals. If there's names in there that you're missing, you're going to know it, right? You know who your top referring agents were. If you look past 12 or 18 months of history, and you don't see their name anymore, they are cheating on you. And it's your fault.
I was going to segue into that. You and I over the last few months have been talking on a few different podcasts and just chatting with LOs on our weekly calls. Because we're so busy, we're not working on our business, we're missing opportunity, right? And we're losing agent referral partners to newer. And when I say newer, you and I are involved with a lot of the LO chat groups, right? Facebook chat groups. We have some newer LOs here with us at VanDyk that are doing extremely well. And guess what? They have zero refi opportunity.
No.
Some brand new LOs, whether or not they're with us or any lender out there that we've seen.
They have no past client database.
You see post, hey, just cracked $2 million this month, just cracked $3 million this month, 18 months in the business, right? Yeah. They're out there right now hungry, and they're going after the realtor referral partners that seasoned veterans like, most of us that have been doing it 10 plus years. Yep. We're busy, and we're taking for granted that somebody's going to reach out to us, and somebody else is trying to get the business.
I mean, listen, we're all
it's
smart.
It's a contact sport.
Yeah, it is a contact sport, And I'll tell you, in the world that we're in now, whether you're comfortable getting belly to belly with somebody or not, the number one way you can get visible is social media, and it's freaking free.
Yeah,
it's free.
Yeah. I mean, Scott tipped it off last week on the call with us, right?
Scott Einbinder,
Yeah, I mean, great job, Scott. Boots on the ground, right? Right now, he made a great statement that, hey, he's not social distancing this past year. he's being more social, just in a different way. He's in front of more people this past year
Than he's ever been.
Right?
Yeah.
And as an LO, right, that we can't get like you did yesterday, belly to belly, which is what we're used to. You've got to find that way to get on a Zoom call, a Google call, something live where you're interacting face to face.
Yeah, I mean, here's the crazy thing. This is, and I don't want this to come across braggadocious or like I'm bringing attention to myself. But in the break between the podcast we just recorded and this one, I walked down to my office real quick. One of our loan originators stopped me in the hall and said, "You have been the talk of the town up at the local real estate board." They went to an event today at the real estate board. And I guess because of the name, right, our company name.
Sure.
Agents were coming up from the class I taught yesterday, raving about the presentation I did. Now, here's what don't take that about me. What I want you to take away from what I just said, they're starving for you to add value to them.
They're missing you.
Yes,
absolutely.
That's what I want you to take away. They are starving for you to add value to them. You want to go after this segment of business. You need to help real estate agents solve their problems. You're all smart salespeople. You know what the challenges that they have in this market are right now. Get creative with ways to help them solve it.
Yep.
Right, and the rest of it will take care of itself.
Yeah, and if you're a realtor out there now, it's more important than ever. I know things are selling fast, but because of the low inventory, unfortunately, you're working a much longer time period with a buyer trying to get under contract. The more partners that you can have in that transaction, the more likely you are to close that customer.
Correct.
So when we partner with you on a deal, we're going to be communicating with the buyer. You're communicating, showing property to the buyer, but we've got to partner as a team now, because what used to take 3 and 4 weeks has taken 6, 7 weeks, maybe longer, and that buyer can get tired, fatigued, like you mentioned earlier, and drift away from you and us and go somewhere else down the road, and we lose them. So the partnership now is you need that more than ever.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add, man?
No, man. I think if rates come down a bit, everybody will breathe a sigh of fresh air. But regardless, I'll leave it with this. When we started last year, we were closing people on purchases the first 3 months of the year, the first quarter. Rates were phenomenal. People were buying homes. Since that first quarter, we probably refinanced 50% of those people from quarter one.
Probably so, yeah.
Right? So that same thing, what we're saying now, we don't know. We don't have the crystal ball where rates will go. If you're looking to buy, rates are great. Close on the loan. If rates dip down, give us a call. We'll help you get a lower rate. We're here to serve.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of people during that time move from a 30-year fixed into a 20-year fixed, have somewhat of the same payment,
yeah,
and knocked 10 years of interest off of their mortgage, right?
Yep.
So, hey, listen, John and I, we do this podcast. It's not about us. It's about you, right? So as a viewer, we just want to say thank you, for tuning in and watching us weekly. Our intent is to add massive value to you, whether you're a real estate agent, a loan officer, or a lot of what we talk about if you're in sales.
Sure.
Right? And we want you to know we are available to help you in any way that we can. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share on your social media. And as always, if there's anything that we can do, we're always here to serve.
Thanks.